March 3rd. You can have a good.
Test, can you hear? Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Good. We'll get started in 1 minute here. We're just waiting for everybody to make sure they're up and running. Okay, everyone, good evening. We're here in the high school LGI for our work session and voting meeting for March 3rd. We'll start going over the agenda, and then we will move to call the official meeting to order right after, and then move to the votes. So we'll get right into it. I know we're still waiting on one member who may be late, but it looks like we have everybody else on and up and running here. Okay, so for the agenda, we have our approval of minutes, our treasurer's report, our approval of bills, our accounting of taxes, as well as we do have some student recognition with some principals awards, as well as senior recognition, as well as some other extracurricular recognition as well. We'll read off if we have any emails coming into the public email account for public comment. After that, moving ahead, we have our enrollment report. We are up 5 students from last month. And then up to number 12 of our line items is our NEIU 19 budget. It's recommended that we approve the budget for the 21-22 school year, with the estimated share from Western Wayne being at $50,651, which is approximately the same as last year. I believe it was within $100 or so from last year's budget. Number 13 is the fuel oil purchase, which would authorize our business manager to solicit bids for the purchasing of fuel oil for next school year. Number 14 is a retainer with DeHay McAndrew from Scranton for employment benefit plans and related personnel, as well as human resource issues. We've been working with them for several years, and the cost of that is $7,550, which is the same cost as last year. Correct, Rose?
Yes.
Number 15 is the appointment of a driver for Henwood Busing. 16 is a building use request from Waymart Police in their K-9 unit, looking to utilize the RDW parking lot on July 3rd from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. to benefit for a car show to benefit their K-9 unit. All fees are waived as the Waymart Police will be present during that event. Number 17 is an agreement with NEIU as well as Luzerne Intermediate Unit to enter an agreement for our network and internet provider services. So essentially what that provides us is with a regional wide area network service at the E-rate approved rates. And this is for the next several school years. So it goes from June 30th to 2026, or it may be extended until June 30th, 2028. Brian, could you just explain that a little bit more in detail, please? This is obviously for our broadband services, wireless internet access, et cetera. Is there anything else to know about that?
No, basically you did a good job with that. I mean, that basically our internet connection through the IU. It's currently at a gig, and it's just a multi-year contract.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it.
What is the cost?
I would need-
Roughly, yearly, or is it for the? Was
Give me a
it?
moment, I'll pull it up.
No, yeah, I was just curious, and if that's till 2026? You know what I mean, or is this on a yearly contract?
No, it's until, annually they do the E-rate process on our behalf. So, but they need to bid it out every 6 years to get that price.
Okay, all right, that's okay, I'm good, because I remember the email. Thank you.
Okay, number 18 is our substitute approvals. We have a cafeteria appointment, a custodial appointment, a area of biology certification, as well as another custodial. So we have Joanne Caruth, James Field, Doug Poston, and Carla Smith to be posted on our substitute list. Letter B is an appointment for our spring coaches for this coming spring athletic season. We have softball assistant, baseball assistant, and 3 track assistants. So if you look at the 3 track assistant positions, those are 2 positions that are divided among the 3 individuals. Okay. Letter C, we have an appointment. Once again, we're looking to participate in the unified track through Special Olympics. We're looking to split this position, which is a total of $1,500 among 2 co-advisors at $750 each. Special Olympics will provide the funding and resources for this program. Again, I can't stress enough how incredible this program is. And if anybody has an opportunity to come and be a part of it and witness or even volunteer, it's just such a nice event, and to see those kids out there and participating and they're excited, and it's something they normally wouldn't have an opportunity to do, and it's just really special. Letter D, we have a resignation in the food service department effective March 10th. This was a part-time position, and as a result of our current situation in the food service department with the amount of meals we're distributing, et cetera, at this point, we don't believe that we will need to refill this position moving forward unless things really ramp up again next school year. But at least for the remainder of this school year, we're going to let it be and reassess at the end of the year. And then letter E, we have 2 volunteers for junior high track and track and field. And then number 19, we have some informational items. Read Across America is this week. We have an Act 80 Day in service on March 12th. We have an asynchronous afternoon noon dismissal on March 26th. And pre-K and kindergarten registration on March 22nd and 26th. Letter B is informational items of student teachers. We have one from Keystone College, Jenna Black, and social studies, and then one from Clark Summit University in language arts at the middle school. And then our correspondence and administrative reports, and that's the agenda. So relatively light, pretty quick. Not a heck of a lot going on this agenda, but that's pretty much it. So does anybody have any?
I just have one question. When are we gonna make that? Sorry.
When are we going to do the makeup day for our teachers in the high school?
So,
I'd really like to see it preferably earlier than later.
well,
What are your thoughts?
looking at the calendar, currently we have June 18th as the last student day, and typically that would be our graduation day as well. The day prior to is our teacher in service that we normally have to allow teachers to prepare and get materials ready for that last student day, grades in, et cetera, et cetera. So what we're looking to do at this point, assuming that we can keep those dates, we would like to keep the in-service day for the elementary and middle school teachers, and then bring the high school kids in that day as well as the high school staff, and that would be their makeup day. And then we could have the high school staff make up the in-service day that following Monday. So they can come in after the graduation to do their last in-service time.
And I do remember, I apologize, Matt, it's been a while since we talked about that, but I have had a number of board members that have asked, is it possible to do the Easter Monday? And if so, if not, I think they would like to see it more so that way. Just because of the inconvenience they cause. I think a lot of people feel when it's coming to June 17th, nobody's going to be held accountable.
And we did consider that for sure, and that was an initial thought that that might be a potential day. The concern I have with that is then you would be bringing in the secretarial staff as well as administrative staff, paraprofessionals that typically would have that day off as a planned vacation day that they would lose. So the recommendation would be to provide them with either another day before June 30th that they could take whenever they can, but that's.
Yeah, and forgive me, it's been so long since we talked about it. I did forget about that, mentioning that, but I'm glad we brought it back up. Thank you.
Yeah, so that was my concern, which is why I tried to stay away from that day after reconsidering it. So the thought is we could bring them in. We have that day before the last student day, and
Yeah, I understand.
make it up on the back end. So, we looked at even the possibility, which is why we started to utilize a couple more of those alternative learning days, so that we didn't go into that next week, especially for seniors and kids graduating, going to the military, it's going into the workforce, whatever it may be. So we're trying to keep that week as it is. But again, that's barring any unforeseen weather-related or other emergencies that may cause us to close. If need be, we can still technically flip-flop that in-service day and still get out on the 18th and call that a student day. But then the high school would still have to make up the day. But what we could do from a senior standpoint is we could potentially hold a Saturday graduation if need be, bring the seniors in that morning to do like a run through and technically count that as a student day. So, but the rest of the kids would have to come in that following Monday. So. Hopefully, we don't have to. As of now, the rest of this week looks good. Next week looks good. Forecasts moving forward look relatively positive. So we'll see. We'll see. February was one treacherous month. So we were doing good up until then, but it was just relentless. So does anybody else have anything before we close the work session and move to the vote meeting?
I had one thing. So 18C and then back to the building use on number 16. And the reason I'm asking this is I'm not on Facebook. I don't have a student in school anymore, so I'm not on the site all the time to see some of these things that go on, and I miss some things. So what I'm wondering is if there is a way, you know how we all get texts or to our personal texts or emails or something like that. Is that possible, Brian? Maybe that's a question for you to send something out maybe a week before, like on the one for the Waymart K9 thing. Like I'd like to go, and I know what happens. It gets the week before, and I forget all about it, and then it goes by. So I don't know if that's something possible. If since we're approving and something like that, to just send out on a mass text, or I don't know. It's just an idea.
We added to the Facebook page as of now, right? Most events.
I'm not that, I didn't see that fundraiser come up. We do a bunch of them, but I don't believe we do them all. Can we do a text like that? I would say maybe the buildings can put it in their notices that they put out monthly. We would just need to include outside entities because you're not, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like the K9 one, that's the Waymart area, and I mean, I'm sure they'll have it announcements. Whatever. I'm just trying to think if it's a. Thanks.
Are you strictly speaking for the board? Like you want the board to get those notices?
I guess, yeah. I mean, basically,
we could do that easily.
yeah. I mean, it would help get more people involved. I think, like you said about the Olympic thing. Last year, I remember it went by, and I never even thought about it. So, and it's just something that if I could go, I would go. If, a lot of times, it's just a reminder to me. That's all.
Yeah,
That's all. It's not a big deal.
and last year, the unified track actually got canceled because of everything that
True.
happened.
That's
so.
true. Maybe it was 2 years ago or whatever, but yeah.
But yeah, we can look into the
Okay.
best way of getting.
That's not a big deal.
Typically, we don't do it outside entities, you know, notifying it. It would just be never ending. So we just try to stick with in-house events, but we can look into putting something out. Okay, anyone else? All right, so we will close our work session. We'll open up the,
And then start right into it.
yes, we'll take a few minute break to get ourselves organized here. And then we'll convene the voting meeting, and then we will need to break for an executive after to go over some legal matters.